Hi everyone! Today I am reviewing a very special colouring book. This is Vibrant Wilds by Sarah Renee Clarke, and although she's had some colouring books out in the past, I believe they've all been Amazon printed, whereas this one she has published and printed herself, and it is extraordinary quality. So the cover itself is a hardback. There's your knock. And then on the front we've got some gorgeous gold foiling accents to some of the illustrations there. And on the back, that gold foiling continues. And the blurb says, "Let your pencils take you on a journey into the wild unknown, spreading colour through the flowers, faces and friendly creatures you discover on your way. Enter the beautiful world of Australian artist Sarah Renee Clarke with 80 colouring pages from Sarah's favourite designs and new illustrations. With a mix of florals, plants, intricate patterns, people and animals for every artist to bring to life with colour." So some of the illustrations you will have seen before in previous books or downloads, but some of them are brand new. So there are 88 pages in total. So you've got your hardback cover, and then you've got this gorgeous emerald kind of foresty green inner cover here with white illustrations. Then you've got your title page, bit of copyright information, and then your nameplate page. So it says this book is an art collaboration between Sarah and whatever your name is. So you can colour this around as well if you'd like to. But I really like that it's worded as a collaboration between illustrator and colourist. So this is a little bit from Sarah here. She is saying, do not put the book on the shelf without first making your mark. Don't worry about ruining pages. You know, when we first get a new colouring book, especially a gorgeously produced one like this, we sort of sometimes don't want to mess up. We don't want to start a page before we've really thought about it and practiced and stuff like that. But she says, whether this is your first colouring book or your 100th, there are colouring pages in here that you can transform into a masterpiece. If you don't feel ready, choose a page you're less interested in as a starting place. Get some colour in it and don't worry about it being perfect. Even scribble if you need to. But you know, it's a fun adventure, isn't it? When you're starting in a colouring book, and some things might not turn out how you planned in your mind, but some things turn out even better because of that. And that's kind of what happened with me. So then on this side, we've got art supplies, which is saying that this paper will hold a variety of different media, including coloured pencils, gel pens, water-based markers, acrylic paint markers, and even watercolour media. Obviously, alcohol-based markers will only not bleed through a paper if it is specifically made for alcohol markers. So yeah, they're going to bleed through this, but they bleed through pretty much everything, so that's kind of a given anyway. Then we've got some coloured pencil technique tips and some other tips as well about mixing media, using the testing pages at the back of the book to practice and test your supplies, and using a colour palette. Now we know that Sarah has amazing colour palettes in her colour cubes. There's volume 1 and 2. I've done a video review on them, and I've done a few different challenges with them as well, and they are so great. You can get the colour catalogue, which is the digital version of the colour cubes. But if you want something tangible and really pretty and nice to put on your desk, you're going to need the colour cubes. And you can use those in conjunction with this book or any book to find a colour palette to limit yourself to. So yeah, now obviously Sarah has been around the colouring community for a number of years now, and we all know and love her. But I think over the last couple of years is when she's really become big on YouTube, which is amazing. I'm so kind of proud to see how, you know, great she has become in the YouTube world, and how much she's done and the quality of her videos and everything. And she's always testing papers or pens or pencils and doing all these cool experiments. So a book that has come from Sarah and been published by Sarah, she has chosen the paper. You just know that it's going to be top quality because she's gone through so many different supplies and papers in her previous videos that she's going to know what makes a good paper. So you know that you're getting a really good standard of paper in this book. It is 190 GSM, so it is fairly thick. I'll do a quick pin test. Yeah, so it is quite thick. It has kind of an off-white ivory colour. It's beautiful. It's quite soft. It's not stark white and in your face. And it's also been thread bound with this lay flat design, so you can colour right up to the centre of the spine if you wanted to. It's lay flat, it's thread bound, so it's not going to come apart like some glue bound books. And you can just tell that she's taken all of her experience and, you know, the voices of the community and what they prefer in colouring books, and she's put it all into this, so it's stunning. So let's have a look at the illustrations then. Like I said, some of them you might recognise and some of them are brand new. We have a flamingo with a big amount of florals on his back and creeping up his neck as well. We've got some lanterns, and then we've got some individual plants. So very much kind of like Johanna Basford-esque in that you've got smaller things to colour if you've not got much time that day and you just want to fit a little bit of colouring in. Not every page is going to be completely packed full of detail. There is a really good mixture in this book of detail and then smaller pieces and then space as well. So I'll talk about that a bit more when we get to the page that I've done. So here we've got a scene with lots of potted plants. Now usually when you've got a scene on one side, you will have these smaller emblems on the other side that sort of reflect parts of what is in this this composition. So we've got small potted plants on this side, individual, and then we've got a scene with them in here. So we have a portrait. This book does have a few portraits. It's got a little bit of everything. So, you know, if you like to colour your florals, it's got it. If you like to colour more of a scene, it's got it. If you like to try and colour people or you know, just try and even practice colouring people, these portraits in particular are really good because they're not very, how do I put this? There's not too much kind of detail in the way. It's difficult for me to explain what I mean, but the portraits are quite clean and crisp. There's a lot of room for you to practice where you're going to put cheekbones and things like that. And you can make the portraits look very different depending on how you decide where to put your highlights and shadows and all that kind of thing. So there's a lot of freedom of creative expression in this book. We've got a ribbon here of some florals, and then we've got these two branches with some leaves and a couple of hanging flowers on there. Again, like I said, there's a mixture in the book of detail and big spaces, and this is one of those that you might want to put a background in, so you've got plenty of room to do whatever it is you're envisioning for the page. So we've got, again, a scene full of butterflies and then some individual ones on this side. We have a floral wreath, and then we have a bird box or a bird nest, a bird feed. What would you call this? We would call it a bird box. So it's like a nesting box. It's got little bits of moss and stuff on it. It's really, really cute. And again, it just gives you a lot of space to practice things like wood grain texture. We've got a shelf full of books and ornaments, and then some individual shelves on this side. Here's another portrait. She's got lots of flowers through her hair. She looks quite exotic. And then we've got a ribbon of flowers. This one's great. I saw Cassie Projects do this. It was fantastic. If you don't know about the Cassie Projects, I'm sure you do, but go back and have a look at her video. It was fantastic of how she tackled these two pages and also made something, sculpted something as well, that was kind of inspired by this design. So there's so many things you can do with the colouring book, and I think that's really coming to the fore recently with channels like Aussie Crafter and Cassie Projects, who they tend to mix up what they're doing with the colouring book. So they might colour something in it, but then they will sculpt something or create something, a physical object that is inspired by, and it's fantastic. So yeah, love that. Love all these acorns and the little squirrel. Now we've got an underwater theme. So we've got an anchor and a ship's wheel, and that is kind of covered in crusty barnacles and things like that. It's really, really nice. I can imagine doing this with a lot of blues, but then hints of a contrasting colour, like pops of orange in these. We have a tree with lots of leaves, and then a little circle spherical design of some florals. This is a double page spread, so we've got an octopus with all his big tentacles, and he's obviously mooching around at the bottom of the sea. We've got the sand and the seashells and the seaweed and things like that. So another fantastic double page spread to do. Then we've got a scene with some hanging light bulbs. These are quite modern. You know, sometimes you go into these fancy cafes or whatever and you see these hanging light fixtures, these installations. but she's kind of put these very modern pieces, this technology with natural elements, and it's really nice to have that contrast and see them together. And then you can create anything you want on the back of this page. So whether you just want to colour them in and practice light sources and glow, or you want to create a whole scene, or you want to maybe draw in some different kind of plants and fronds and vines and stuff, you can do that. Here we have a cat. So this cat is actually wearing what looks like a neck. What even is that? It's like a neck shawl of leaves. But yeah, it's super interesting, and it's nice to see some animals portrayed in here as well. So you've got portraits, tick, animals, tick, and lots of florals, tick. I really like this one. This is what I was going to do first, actually, because I like the fact that we've got lots of big spaces here to practice blends, to maybe add in some extra pen detail. If you want to do some Zentangle kind of bits of pattern in these petals, you can do. You can draw something in the middle. You can make it look like a globe or a sphere, or you can do a lot. It's really, really good for the imagination, this book. So here we have some succulents, and on this side we've got a side-facing portrait with some succulents and flowers around, and then here you've got some potted succulents viewed from above, so you're looking down at the succulents. Now this one I've seen before because I'm sure I followed Sarah's tutorial on this compass, where she made it look absolutely fantastic and so real, like you could pick it up off the page. I believe it was one of her earlier videos that she did that in. It was absolutely gorgeous. And then we've got a big page of really wavy, natural, organic lined flowers. So here's another page where there's not too much going on, and you can just dip in and out of this. So we have the compass, the suitcases, and the globe. This is like your traveling page, your world wanderer. So you've got the suitcases stacked up. You've got all different things in the case ready to go, binoculars and concert tickets and photographs, with again a little bit of nature as well. Double page scene here of lots and lots of different houses. I don't think this is a city block. I think it's more like suburbs. And just looking at it, I don't think it is a double page spread actually, because some of these houses don't join to another house on this side. So I think it is two separate images. I think so anyway. But it's all kind of the same theme. So maybe you could even do night and day in your colour palettes, so that it is kind of joined together, because it's got the same, you know, the same stuff on the page. I can't think of my words again. But you can make them look completely different, use contrasting colours and things. Here's a double page spread that is a definite double page spread of lots and lots of different flowers, leaves and berries. Now here's a piano with musical notes, and again lots of the vibrant wilds around it as well. This is really, really nice. I love how there's so many succulents and leaves and things that are just, it's almost like the piano has grown through the ground and you've got all of this foliage around it. And then we have another portrait. Pretty sure I've seen this one before, although it could be another one that Sarah has drawn with glasses. But I'm getting deja vu with this one, so I'm pretty sure that this is another one Sarah's done. But again, gorgeous. It's a face-on portrait this time, and she has a floral wreath in her hair. It's just lovely. Here we're going back to the underwater again. We've got a crab, we've got two crabs, and a beautiful sort of Zentangle turtle. So on this shell you can see lots and lots of different patterns within each of the scales on the shell. Do we call them scales? Shell, I think, no, I don't know. It's on the back of the turtle, it's on the turtle shell. But yeah, it's really nice. There's lots and lots of pattern involved here, so you can make this as simple or as intricate as you want. You can colour every single line in different colours, or you can just do each kind of shell as, each section of the shell as one thing. This is really nice. It's like a gallery double page spread. So we've got a bit of everything on this. We've got that cat again, we've got a portrait with this beautiful landscape lighthouse view. We have, I believe, a cake, a bunny, some tulips, a dolphin, and we have some of that outdoor scene, all the houses, a couple of close-ups of succulents and flowers, but also there's some empty portraits here. So you could do a lot with that. You could draw something in, you could stick something in, you can really go wild with your mixed media on this. So here we have got some little vignettes of flower clusters, really sweet, and again quite quick and easy to do, and then a larger version here. Back with the squirrels and acorns now. These look very playful and mischievous, don't they? Again, acorns, oak leaves and squirrels. I'd love to see this page completely done and coloured. You know, I can see the emerald greens and the burnt ochres and a really autumnal fall look. This is a nice little sphere, so it's encircled in this, but I always like it when illustrations in circles come out of the edge a little bit. It gives it a bit more of a dynamic feel, and it's just less boring to look at. You know, if something's contained, sometimes it can look a bit flat. This comes out from the top of the circle, so it really adds something extra to it. And then here's a few more little, I believe, wildflower stems. So these look like some kind of fungi, I think. So we have got a tree trunk, and you can see all of this fungi. It's very what's the word? It's like The Last of Us. Have you seen that on TV? It's a game where the fungus is basically a parasite that takes a person over and you become like a zombie. Where am I going with this? I don't know. But that's what it's reminding me of, is this big umbrella-like fungi. But that'll be interesting to see how people decide to tackle this. I want to know what colours people are going to use, because you can go anywhere with different fungus, can't you? It doesn't have, it could be anything. It could be pink with blue dots, like, who cares? Then this is lovely, again with the animals. We've got a mother and baby elephant, again with the florals really taking over as well, that mixture of the botanical nature with the animal nature as well. And on this side, it is a page of succulents and florals. There's a few of these throughout the book, so if that's what you enjoy, you'll love it. And another autumnal kind of scene here. I'm imagining it as autumnal anyway, because you've got these small, I think these are oak leaves or something similar, chestnut leaves, I don't know. And these kind of maple looking leaves. And it's just giving me an October vibe. So I'd like to see, again, burnt oranges and that kind of colour scheme on this. Here we've got some grapevines, so you could do all kinds of different grape colours on this, red, black and the normal green grapes as well. I think you can now get grapes that are candy floss flavoured, and I don't know whether I'm vibing with that, to be honest. I can't, sometimes they just do things strangely and I can't get my head around it. They brought out some tea bags once that were biscuit flavoured tea and also toast and jam flavoured tea, and no. So I don't think I'm going to be trying candy floss flavoured grapes too soon. Here's another portrait, this time from the side on. We've got a little bit of an Asian theme here, I believe. Lots, again, of flowers kind of creeping up through the hair. Then we've got some mushies. So we've got 4 mushroom clusters here. Again, there's so many colour palettes you could do. You could make it completely fantasy with like neon blues and give it a properly kind of glowing fantasy mushroom style. Or you could just go traditional. It's up to you. Love this. The stag is one of my favourite animals and I absolutely love this page. Again, just Sarah putting together the animals and the botanicals. I love to see it. It's really, really nice. Here are some more succulents in pots, viewed again from overhead. So maybe you'd want to do a bit of a cobblestone effect in between these pots. If you wanted to really elevate this page, you could do a top-down view of the surface that these pots are sitting on. Put my teeth back in. Now we have a larger succulent pot here. Love this. Again, another page that I really wanted to start with, but then I found another one. So we've got some sunflowers on this side, and then we've got a close-up of a sunflower with a lovely bee sat in the middle. A bee is one of my favourite insects, animals altogether. I love bees. Hate wasps, love bees. So yeah, and I can just see a lot of potential in this. Again, I'm thinking more about mixed media. I'm constantly thinking about that with this book. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because the paper is so good. I feel like I can try and test and play with a lot of different things on this paper, or whether it's because we do have a lot of left open spaces that are just crying out for something creative and interesting in a mixed media sense. We've gone back underwater now. We've got 3 jellyfish. So I'd like to see this done maybe with some ink tints or some watercolour pencils, make this look really wishy-washy and watery. Now the next page is the one I've done, so I'm just going to do a little bit of a precursor to this. As I've been saying all the way through the review, I really feel like this book is a mixed media's dream. I haven't tried anything so far that is really, really wet media, but you can guarantee that if you put enough water on any kind of paper, it's going to buckle a little bit, you know. But I feel like this book would stand up to, at the very minimum, you know, a bit of water. I'm sure it would. But when I was thinking about what I wanted to do with this book and my feelings around mixed media, I wanted to do something completely different to colour in the book. So what I've actually done is I have done the next page with 99.9% paper. So I have done it in collage fashion, and I've only used pencils on 2 very small areas that I wasn't happy with. So here we go. Here is my first go at doing collage in a colouring book. Now, it isn't the best, I know that, but I enjoyed it so much. You know, I've just been doing a little bit of junk journaling and getting into that side of creativity. And I've had all of these different papers and things that I wanted to do something different with. And I thought this book is just the one. So I'll tell you what I did. So this is obviously a beach scene. I'll try and put in what it looked like first. And as I'm talking, I'll put a little video clip in of me actually doing this. So I started, I think, with the water, and I used some blue watercolour paper that looked like it had a watercolour wash on it. And as I ripped the paper, the pieces sort of created this white edge, the ripped edge, which I thought would be really, really nice to create the waves in the sea and that texture. And then I did the same on the sky. I've got different strips of pink, orange and yellow watercolour paper on there that I've cut out and stuck on. And then the clouds I found in a junk journal cutouts book, and I thought I'm just going to go ahead and just stick those on there. They're very realistic, unlike the rest of the page, but I think it's quite surreal and quite cool in that way. Then these rocks on the side with some brown patterned paper. Then I did these leaves, and I've also added in a few little details with a fine liner pen and gone around them. It's not the neatest, it is a little bit messy, but I had so much fun doing it. Then I had some paper that looked like sand. So I created a template of the outline of this girl and then cut it out of the sand so I could just stick it straight down. And then for the clothing, I used washi tape. So I got a strip of washi tape, stuck it down and did that all the way down, and then just cut around all of the edges and things to neaten it up. Did the same on the bow. Now, first of all, I was going to put some brown cardboard, a bit like this, as the arms. So I was going to do the entire thing in paper. I did that and I did not like the way it looked. So I took that off, and I was dealing with bits of glue that had dried that I couldn't get off. So I was mushing and mushing coloured pencils over the top to try and kind of hide those glue bits. And even though it is definitely not the best skin colouring I've ever done, the Prismacolors I used have hidden for the most part those glue streaks. I also coloured the hair with acrylic marker and then went over it with pencil just for some hair-like texture and detail in there. So the only things I've done with coloured pencil are the arms and the hair. The rest of it is completely cut out collage, and I've so enjoyed it, honestly. And the paper is just so thick, it stands up to anything. I was gluing and I was moving things and ripping things off and putting new things on, and it's just really stood up to it. It hasn't buckled, it hasn't done anything at all. So it's really, really nice, and I'm quite pleased with it, even though it's not the best thing you've ever seen. So yeah, that's proof that you can use all kinds of mixed media. Then we've got a circle design again with kind of succulents and leaves. This is Vibrant Wilds after all, so we're expecting lots of different wildlife and leaves. Here's a potted plant. I think this is called something like a mysteria. It's probably something completely different, but that's just popped into my head. I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments. Monstera. Monstera? I think I'm on the right track there, hopefully. Then we have some lettering. Let Love Grow. and this is like on a brick wall, and it's got lots of vines and flowers growing from the lettering. So again, just a proper mixed bag of stuff. You've got some text, you've got animals, you've got all kinds of things. We've got a page full of leaves, and then on the other side we've got a singing bird, and I don't know if these are meant to be sparrows. They can be whatever you want them to be, but they do kind of remind me of sparrows. Then we've got some little vignettes of bonsai trees and a larger one here with the circle. Again, I love how it's popping out the edges. Then we have some teapots and teacups. That's really cute with little floral accents on them as well. And a couple of Easter bunnies. I don't know why they're Easter bunnies. I've just decided because Easter's coming soon. These are going to be Easter bunnies. Then we've got a vase full of flowers, different flowers and botanics in the vase as well. Completely different actually. We've got all kinds of different roses, and I'm not going to try and name them all because I don't know flower names, but there's a lot in that bouquet that's different. We've got two doves, I think. I'm going to go for it and say they're doves, and I believe this looks a bit like cherry blossom, so this might be nice to do in those soft pink and ivory colours. So we've got a page full of seashells, all decorated and patterned. And then we have a feather. Again, it's quite Zentangle-y. I feel like that was an inspiration for this one. And that's it. So there's the thank you page, again with something you can colour. And then we have the art supply test page on the front and the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some pencils, because I obviously haven't used pencils properly in this book yet. And I'm just going to do a little bit of a test. So let's get a crimson red. I'm going to do polychromos as well, so don't come at me before I finish saying Prismacolors will work on anything. Yeah, so I've got a red. Now I want a bit of an orange. Let's go for this pale vermilion. And I want something a bit lighter as well. Let's see, let's try this yellowed orange. So let's try and do a little bit of a blend and see how the paper works. So straight away, first of all, I can tell this paper tooth is really gripping onto the pigment in the pencil. I'm not doing it very hard at all, and we're getting really good colour payoff. So I'll come in now with the middle colour, which is the pale vermilion. Really, really good. It's really making these colours pop. There's quite a bit of difference between these two colours, so I'm gonna give it a bit of a chance, you know, to blend, because they are quite different colours. I don't want to say that it's not blending when it is. It's just different colours. So we'll go over it with this one. Really, really nice. I really enjoy how the paper grips the pigment and the core of the pencil. So as promised, we'll do polychromos as well. So we've got an oil and a wax-based pencil test. Let's have a look then. What do we have? I've got deep red. Then I want a bit of an orangey one. So this one, I think. This is dark cadmium orange. And then I want something that's a deeper yellow. So this one is cadmium orange. So let's go. Same thing again, but obviously with oil pencils, we do need to work in layers because that's what they like best. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that down and then just build up the layers. And again, I can feel it gripping. The oil in the oil-based pencils is not slippery on the paper. Sometimes with smoother stock, you can find it's very slippery and it's just not wanting to blend. It's not wanting you to work at it at all. It kind of burnishes itself out quite quickly. But this one is really, really nice. And then the third colour. It's not too often you can find a book paper that plays equally as well with oil and wax. Normally, a lot of the time, it's one or the other. But these, I feel, work really well with either. I actually really like the polychromos because I feel like the layered approach is working really well on this paper, but the vibrancy in the Prismacolor is second to none. So make of that what you will. Oh, I've just noticed that you've got the glare there of my light. You see the glare? So I'll just pull it out of the way so you can see that better. And there we go. So, Vibrant Wilds. Absolutely stunning. I love it. I love it from cover to cover. And I'm just so excited to make this my mixed media book. So I'm going to do some coloured pencil work in it, you know, like a normal colouring page with pencils. But I feel like this is the book I'm going to come to when I want to play with new supplies and try something different. It just gives the opportunity for that. So yeah, fantastic. I'm going to leave links in the description of where you can get this from Sarah's website. She has distributors in the UK, the US and Australia. So this book arrived really, really quickly because it came from the distribution centre in the UK. So if you're in the UK, US or Australia, you will get it quite quickly. Sarah does ship pretty much worldwide, so that will depend on where you are as to how long it takes to get it. But another fantastic thing about this, just before we end, is that you will also get the PDF version of this book when you purchase the physical copy. So you'll be emailed, I think, the PDF version, so you can print it out as many times as you like, practice before you dive into the book, or do whatever you want with it. But yeah. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed the review, and let me know in the comments what you think about the book, whether you're going to buy it or whether you've got it, and what you can see yourself doing with the book as well. I think it would be a cool idea to get a colour cube out one day and use one of the palettes in one of these pages and just go full circle with the Sarah Renee Clark products. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon on Colour with Claire.